So welcome back. What I'm going to do now is install a new mod so we can see a new mod that also get some refresh about how to check, install, clean a mod, and also I want to try at least a couple of the new mods released for the Morrowind Modding Madness competition. I think I never remember the right name of this thing, but the very slow one when you have a very limited time to make a mod. Okay, so I have a list here of the mods released, and usually they are small mods, so little quest mods or vendors mod or some graphic mods, and there are probably a couple of them I like more. So I will install. I already installed one of them, the Pearl Divers, and the one I'm going to install today is Rescue Mission. Let me check if we can see it. Rescue Mission by ProfArmitage, Summer ModJam. Yeah, that's the name of the ModJam, not Modding Madness. Okay, but ModJam means that you have very limited time. I don't remember. I think 1 day or 2 days a maximum. I don't remember exactly, but still a very limited time. So just being able to release a mod, a working enough mod, is something not so easy. So we will try and install a couple of these. So Rescue Mission, I already downloaded it. See here, so as usual we open it. I install mods just using standard file copying, mostly because I'm very used working with the moving and copying and comparing files between different folders. So I use a orthodox file manager like this one, double commander, so I will just compare files and copy them to the Morrowind folder. Okay, how is it packaged? The mod is packaged in an archive using the data files folder. It would be better just to put files directly in this way, so mod managers can recognize it directly as a standard mesh or bash archive format, but not really a problem. But what I suggest is if you want to package your mod, just package it like this, add the one folder, for instance, like this. If you want to put a Readme, which should be something that you should always do, and put the Readme in the docs folder here. Make a docs folder and put the Readme there, or you can put the Readme just in the base folder. But the standard encouraged by Mesh is to use a docs folder. So we rearrange the archive, we move the file there and then here. So it's ready like a standard a mesh ready, or bash, as you want to call the archive engine embedded in mesh. So we read the README. You should always read the README. It does not README ask your modder to put a README, because this way anytime you can associate the README with your mod manager if you're using one, and then you can check very fast the mod instead of having to open the browser, look for the mod, and so on. So story is about Meiji's daughter disappeared and we need to help finding her. Start the quest, find one or John notices in any of Vivek Tavern. So this is important information because else we don't know how to start the quest. What I usually do is copy this kind of important mod information in the mod info field, which is included in the mod properties, because this way I can read it directly from mesh. So if this information is not already present, but we will see that. Anyway, to install the mod, you just copy the files in the Morrowind data file folders. But before installing the mod, before copying the file or using a mod manager that you like, the concept is always the same. You have to copy the files to the data files folder, or to the equivalent if you're using a mod manager with a virtual file system like Mod Organizer 2 and so on. But the concept is these files must appear to the game like they are in the data files folder. This is for standard Morrowind. I know that Open Morrowind has its virtual file systems in short, but I'm talking about the original game. And so we want to install these files, but before installing them, I think it's a good habit to check them for problems, for errors, for incompatibilities, check if you can fix some problems and so on. So this is what I do usually. So, and one of the first things that you can do is, for instance, check the ESP file, the mod plugin file, and to do this, a lot of the check you can do don't need to install the rest of the resources and so on. So this is one thing you can do directly. So if this is the first time you install this mod, you just copy it to your data files folder or install it using install the ESP for now, because we want to check that file for now. So first thing, check for problems, errors, incompatibilities, dirty records and so on. So we start test 2, which is one of the 2 automatic tools to check for Morrowind plugins problems. And if you have several installation of Morrowind, it will ask you if this is the right one. We say yes, and then we use this thing, clean ESP ESM files. Don't ever click this button, just fix it, because this is trying to basically fix all of your loaded plugins in your current loading order, and it is likely that some of them could be not really destroyed, but they could not work. So it's better to just avoid it if you want to change one plugin at a time. That is the proper way to install mods, because you cannot really hope to install or fix 100 mods at a time and not having any problems. And then if you have a problem, you don't know where it is. So this is the reason why you should always do a few at a time. So we do one at a time, and we clean it, and we select the option here, clean, and execute. So as soon as we click execute, we have this prompt. We are asked if we want to check the options, and we say yes, because why not? So my suggested options is check the first one, the second one, and leave this as default checked. Not really super important, because these are not real conflicts, but it's always some kind of good information to have. Oh, let me check if this thing is working. Seems so. Okay, so first option, don't change plugin file names, because we don't want to rename it to clean something. We want to keep the original mod name, and then we want also to retain the original file time, because this is basically what decides the loading order of the plugin, and we don't want to change that. And this is basic settings. If you think that the mod is a more delicate mod, like a heavy dialog mode, you may want to use this thing, restricted dialog cleaning, if you are unsure. And this could be also useful for some rare mods which are storing things in an empty cell, but usually these are all very old mods. So 99% you can just keep these not checked. If you have a problem with dialog, maybe reinstall the mod and try with this one, check it. But 90% done, and do it. Execute, choose your mod, and the mod is called Rescue Mission. Oh, by the way, a thing that I see a lot of people having problem with is what if I'm for instance trying to choose a file from MGEXC overlay settings for distant land settings, and this file is called t.txt, but I cannot see it because by default my directory, my folder selections, my file selection is only displaying .ovr file. How can I do that? Well, it's very simple. You just press this symbol, this star, this asterisk symbol, this multiply symbol, and then Windows and then press open, and Windows will let you see any file extension this way, and so you can choose a different extension from the standard filter which is enabled. Or oftentimes, like in this case, you have also an option, all the files here that you can choose. But if these options are not present, you can always just enter it like this, an asterisk, and so you can load what you want. Okay, we don't need that really, so I will just do it again. Execute. We want plugin files, and we want this one, rescue mission. One of the good things about Windows is that by default you press the first letter and you can refine the search. There are a lot of bad things in Windows, but this one is not bad. So, rescue mission. Open. Processing. Already clean. This is good. Perfect. If there are some messages of things cleaned, you can look at the log done by ProfArmitage just in the Morrowind base folder. So, sorry, not ProfArmitage, I'm using test tool. As you can see here, the more recent file is testtool.log, and this is what the program has done, which is just checking all the cell used by the mod. And there are no problems detected, and that is a very good sign. And now, to be more thorough, we do the same kind of check using another tool, because these tools are a little complementary. Sometimes one of them is able to find some potential problems or glitches that the other one cannot, and vice versa. So better to check with both tools. I usually use test tool as the first one because it is faster, so it can remove more problems if there are some problems present, and then we check also with test-free command. Okay, test-free command is a command line tool, so you don't have a default interface for it. So we should open a console and call it. We can do it, but usually people have mod managers, and mod managers usually include an option to call test-free command clean directly. So why not using it? I'm using often an old version of Mesh 84 because I tweaked it, added my personal comments and so on, but you can use the Polemos version and it's more or less the same. There's a menu where you can choose the mod you want to clean and call directly test-free command clean. And so let's look for the mod, sort by file name, and I press the first letters, rescue, let's see, R, and should be sorted here, lots of mod. Okay, here it is, rescue mission.esp. And as we are here, another nitpicking that I have, not so really important, but as the standard Bethesda mods, the master plugins are using lowercase extension in the file name. I like to have all the plugins files using the lowercase extension. Not really important because it's not case sensitive, but just to have them equal. So I like to change this thing if it is like the standard uppercase extension that is coming directly when you edit from the construction set and you create a new plugin. So let's change it from mesh rescue mission. Okay, so I can show you also how to rename a file extension from mesh, because it may seem difficult because rescue mission here If I try to rename it from here directly, using the lowercase, it will tell me, hey, it's the same name, already exists, because, you know, the file system is not case sensitive. So how can we do that? We can do a little trick like this. We put an underscore here, and then we can use a different name temporarily, like this, and we can save, and then we remove the little underscore, like this. Okay, so we renamed it. Now extension is lowercase. Just nitpicking, but if you are curious about how you can do it from mesh, it's simple like this. Or we could have done it directly here from your file manager, but just to check how we can do things from mesh. Okay, so we have the file. Now we right click here and look for an option that could be some with a different name in the Polemos version. But the gist of it is you have a file option when you select one file to clean using mesh. I have these options: test-free command clean, replace, hide backups, selected files. So I choose this one. And I should see in the console what's happening. So mesh is cleaning, rescue mission, loading. Rescue mission, it was not modified. That means also mesh is finding the plugin is already perfectly clean. And that's another very good first impression about the mod. And okay, second tool, these tools are the most important ones if you want to check for problems automatically. Another nice thing you could use is called also a tool which is called test-free lint. It's a Perl script similar to test-free command. And usually you need to have Perl installed for it to work, but I think I have in my site an executable version if you want to download that. But the gist of it is you run that on your plugin in a similar way, and you can sort of check for other potential problems, especially for dialogue. So we run it also. So we are scanning. This is the out. So and we can read information in the Readme, but the gist of it is menu command. The scripts are not checking menu mode. Okay, so this is not really a real problem, because there are some scripts that don't need to run only menu mode because they just run a few frames, or because they have other checks that make them run only in a special condition. For instance, if I have a child changed test at the start of my script, you don't really need a menu mode, because the script will do things only in that frame when you change your cell, and the rest it will be just skipped, like and even better than using a menu mode test. So it depends. My suggestion is, well, if you have a mod with 200 with 1000 scripts and none of them is using menu mode, maybe check that mod a little better, because it is likely that some of those scripts could use having a menu mode check. So not that you find mods with hundreds and hundreds of scripts usually without the mod author being knowledgeable about scripting. So but you know, sometimes you really find strange things. So this is the meaning of this check. If you have tons of script without using checking menu mod, maybe take a look at the scripts in the mod and get a better idea about them. Okay, this is normal because we have some path grids changed. And this is perfectly normal, and it is also a good sign about a modder that knows how things have to be done correctly. Because if you are changing a cell, especially an interior cell, usually if you are adding new rooms, new doors and so on, you need also to change the path grid in the cell accordingly. So when you add new doors, when you add a lot of clutter which can be placed in places that were uncluttered and free to move around, first you always should check the path grids and eventually fix the path grids so actors, NPCs, creatures are not colliding, going against the walls or against your big clutter things, because they are trying to use the original game path grids that you didn't change. So this is another important sign that the mod is probably doing things correctly. And then we have a standard use of a greeting file to introduce the new dialogue topics, and that also is a good sign. So for now the mod seems to be done in a very proper way. We are just talking about technical checking here. We did not even start playing the mod, but we can get the idea of something well done. And also we are now more happy about installing the mod because we have checked that it should not cause big problems in theory with our games. Naturally we did not check what the scripts are doing, what the mod is doing, but we have already very good sign. Now next step, we could try and check the scripts, or we could check the resources. As we are talking about the ESP, we could as well check the scripts. Okay, so the gist of it is Morrowind scripting editor, standard editor, is a little too permissive. It doesn't check the scripting syntax a lot. It can catch some problems, but a lot of them are not detected when you save and compile the scripts from the construction set. So there are tools that can help fixing some scripting problems better. One of these tools is, well, Open Morrowind, because it does more thorough syntax scripting about the scripts, and that's one thing you could use. But I think the best tool for this is still the old MWEdit, and so this is what I use first, and with this I think I can fix most of the things that could cause problem in script. So we can load the mod here. An important thing about MWEdit is that it doesn't automatically load the masters of the mod like the construction set does. So you have to know what they are and also check them by hand. But we can just look at them in Mesh because we can select the mod and we can see them here. They are the standard free Bethesda masters. So we can load them just like this. And then we sort by file name and look for the mod, rescue mission, sort again by date, which is more or less the loading order in this case, and press OK button. And we can enlarge everything here. Okay, let's see the settings. You can set different degree of strictness in the checking that MWEdit is doing. I suggest we go to View Options and select this kind of settings. Well, first set the game data path, which will be your Morrowind main installation data files folder. Select strict object identifiers here, and okay, everything here allow. But the important thing, the most important thing when you are checking the scripts is warning level select strong, because this is a strong checking that will give you more hints about possible problems. Okay, strong checking. Basically, if a mod is passing the strong syntax checking by MWEdit, well, usually your scripts will not have syntax or runtime errors. Well, runtime errors can still happen, but should be much more rare than a script which is not passing the strong syntax check. So this is what we use. Okay. Another great thing about MWEdit is that you need to load the masters by hand. The masters must be loaded if you want to compile the script, because else scripts will not find needed things to compile, but you can view only change by the mod, but your ESP mod. And so it's like loading just a mod with a green background here. But still, you can still see things added by the masters if you need them. What we want to do is check the scripts. As you can see, we have the scripts added by the mod. We can open them, check them one at a time, but usually the first thing you want to do is compile active scripts. And from here you can check errors and warning. So, first impression, very good. We have just one single warning, which is something very rare. What I usually do is copy paste, select this message, copy and paste it to a separate window or in some editor. So I have the message here ready to. Okay, what the program is telling me is there's some kind of problem in one of these scripts. Sadly, there's no a precise message about what script is having this problem. We have the line, but not the script name. You know, that's one of the glitches about MWEdit. We must not forget that the problem is just in beta version and has never been completed. So it's still something that could be useful. In this case, we could just compile the scripts one at a time until we find where the problem is, because there are not many of them. But imagine you have 200, 1000 scripts. It's not something easy to do in this case. So how can we do it looking for that kind of problem in a more general way, without having to try and compile all the scripts by hand? If you have some knowledge about regular expressions, probably a great way to do this is to export the source, the text of all the scripts to a single file, and then use some editor with regular expression to look for the problem in all the script source. And that is what I usually do, because oftentimes I have to check mods with hundreds of scripts. Oh, the last one, we are really lucky. So this is one way you can do it. You compile all the scripts until you find the one with the problem, and when you find it, you will have a message with the proper line displayed here. You click here and you see both the number of the line 9, but you can click and the cursor will be right there. So problem is that, as you can see here, there's not a space between the bracket and the parentheses. I don't remember the correct word in English, but we need to put a space here. So the fix would be something like that. As you can see, no more warnings. But what if you have 300, 500, 1000 scripts? We cannot really open any single of them and compile them by hand. So the solution is to learn a little of regular expression, which I don't usually like, but this is the perfect example where they are just the tool, the proper tool to do the job. And so we will try and do this thing this way. So what we need to do is to export all the scripts in a single file, because this way it will be much easier to check for problems in a single file. And there are several tools that can do this. Well, not several. There are some tools that can do this, and probably the best, the simpler to use and still the best one is Guess So Mesh. So we go to the mod, we right click it, we choose File, I think that's File, maybe, oh no, sorry, Export. So right click, Export, Scripts, and then we can choose a folder. I use the Morrowind scripts folder for this, and we can export rescue mission scripts.mws, which is a text file basically. And then we can go to that folder where we saved our script, see the most recent one, sort by date like this, and then we can open it with any text editor. The important thing is it should be a text editor able to use some search and replace using regular expressions, because regular expressions are a tool which will allow us to find this kind of problem in all the file and so in all the scripts used by the mod. How can we do this? I'm using here Notepad++, which is a free and very commonly used a text editor, but you can do it but using any decent text editor, because regular expressions are a tool which is available at least with standard line search and replace in almost all decent text editors. So you can use this one, you can use Visual Studio Code, you can use anything. Important thing is you have this regular expression search as an option in your search and replace tool. So we do this search and find. So what we want to look for? First thing, we want to use regular expressions here. I check this. What we are looking for is our error message one, open closing bracket, missing space on one or both sides. What this means is that our problem is something like a bracket which is missing a space to the left or to the right. Okay, it's not hard. What kind of bracket could my Morrowind script be using? Well, this is even simpler because differently from other more advanced scripting languages, the only kind of brackets Morrowind is using are these brackets. So our problem could be one of these or one of these missing a space in between something else. So we could have something like this, or we could have something like this. And to look for any possible combination of some alphabetic character and that kind of bracket, the most simple things to use is a simple regular expression. Obviously, you should study a little because tutorials about regular expression, you can find them anywhere in the web. A regular expression can be incredibly complex and incredibly powerful, but what we need is just the simple things, do these little kind of searches. So I will try and explain while doing it. I think it's simple enough. So what we want to search for is, first thing, we want to look for these kind of brackets. And we have the first problem, because these kind of brackets are something that are used by the regular expression engine with a special meaning. So we need to tell the regular expression engine, well, wait a minute, I'm not giving you this special bracket command. I want just to use this literal bracket like it's a standard character. To make this thing, we need to so-called escape the special character, and we can do this usually putting this in front of the special character. So we escape, we put this slash or backslash, sorry, in front of the special character. So, okay, when we did this, we want to look for this kind of brackets, and we are look for instance to things that could be a word, an identifier, a number, a plus sign, a minus sign, things like this after the bracket. But in other words, things that are not a space, basically. So we could write it like this. A way to put something that is not a space could be using this kind of brackets, special brackets for regular expression. This special symbol, which when inside those kind of brackets, angular brackets, means not, and then use the space. So we are looking for something where there is a literal bracket like this, and we don't have a space after it, basically. So we go to our scripting source. As you can see, all the scripts are in a single file here, exported by mesh, and we try searching for the regular expression. And guess what? We found it. Because I asked the regular expression engine, look for this kind of bracket which don't have a space after them. And so I scanned all the scripts and found where the problem was, the last one. Imagine doing the same things, maybe looking for problems like this. This should work, but as a general rule, better to avoid it and do something like this. So you could check for this. Also, how could we do this? Or for something like this, how can we find a problem like this? In a similar way, we could also check for something like this. Not a space with this kind of bracket. So if there is not a space before this closed bracket, we should be able to find it. And as you can see, we found it. We can then fix things by hand, but we could do better. We could automatically fix this kind of thing using, instead of search, replace. So we choose the same thing to search, but this time we also write the fix for this, and the fix could be very similar, but with the proper space added. Let's see what happens. Let's try it. Replace. We did it wrong because we are replacing this thing and overwriting it, so we can go back, Ctrl Zeta, and try again. So we need to not delete what's here. To do this, basically we can store that thing and then keep it as a variable in our replacement. How can we do that? It's very simple. We use that bracket. We had to escape here, but now we can use that to store that part of our search. So we put two brackets around our search expression like this, and here we can do something like this. We can add I think it's parameter number 1. I think this is the syntax. You should check the editor, but I think this is the right one. So what this means is get things inside these brackets, these not escaped brackets, and copy it in our replacement. Let's see what happens. And as you can see, this thing is now working. We could do better. We could look for a word and replace all the words and so on. We will do the same thing now with this problem, just to see. So we put some brackets around the things we are checking here, and we want to keep in our replacement, and we use it here in the replacement expression. It is just the backslash and I never remember, backslash or slash. Oh well, you see it. And it's one variable we're using. Then we put the space which is missing here, and we put the escaped. Oh, something deleted it. Okay, let's write it again. So number 1 space and our escaped bracket. And now we try again. Find and replace, and as you can see, we have fixed also this thing. So I've done it with one single problem here, but it would have worked with also 10 of these problems, because they are an expression, something using variables, and something that could have worked. So there are more examples, and the more you use regular expression, the more things you will be able to do. But the gist of it is having a single text file with all your scripts will make this kind of fix and replacement much easier to do automatically once you have a minimal knowledge about regular expressions syntax. And this is a great way to fix possible problem with the scripts. I'm talking about purely syntax problems, not about logic problems that the scripts could have, but to check and fix for them, you just need to know how to make scripts, how scripting works, and you should check them one by one, or read the code and try to understand if there are logical problems and things like this. Another thing that we could do is try to optimize the script, because for instance 90% of these checks against 1 can be just skipped, because by default the game is evaluating a result of 1 like true in an if expression. So we can just write it removing this this check, and just write it like this. That would be shorter, that would be faster, and so on. But these are just optimization and not really needed unless you are sure about this, you know what you're doing and so on. But you could just write it like this and it would be more efficient. Same things for this one. So all this equal to 1 could be just replaced with something simple. We can just do it just to show how not needed, not a possible problems, but we can do it for basically all Morrowind standard functions. We can also do with some variable checks if that variable can only be 0 or 1. If that variable is going to have different values, no, you cannot do that. But oftentimes a variable like this is used like a flag. It just have 0 or 1 values. In this case you can just remove this kind of check, because it can be only 1, it will be true, and so on. But that's another step to optimize the script. What we can do is do it for function, things we know are a function returning 0 or 1 or something different from 0, which is the same thing, because anything different from 0 is evaluated true, and anything 0 is evaluated false inside a condition like if something, and so on. So what we could do is just try and replace this thing. So control control find, replace this with empty things, but we must remember that we want to do a normal replace here. We don't need the regular expressions anymore, it is just text replace. So let's try it. We want to do it not for everything automatically. We want to check what we are going to change, because we want to do only for functions, not for variables which we don't yet know the values that they could have. So we will do that with functions that we know already. We can optimize like this. So find next. So we want to skip this one. This is a variable. This is a variable. Oh, okay. OnActivate is a function, so we can do it. Replace. OnPCEquip is a standard variable. Well, usually you can also replace this one, but better not to risk. So OnActivate function replace. Do once variable skip. OnActivate replace. Do once a variable skip, and so on. OnDef is a function. We can replace it. GetDisable is a function, we can replace it. GetDisable. Do once is a variable, we skip it. OnDef is a function, replace. GetDisable, replace. do once is another variable here. Skip. onDef is a function, replace. Read note is a variable. Skip. Skip. Replace. This is a special variable. Usually you can do it, but better to be sure, we skip it. Skip. Replace. Skip. Function. Replace. Variable. Skip. Function. Replace. Function. Replace. Variable. Skip. Read note. Variable. Skip. Skip. And so on. I think we have already covered all of them because only variables are remaining. And that's it. We will stop here the optimizations, but you get the idea. Having all the scripts in a single big file not only makes you have a better idea of what the mod is doing, but makes fixing things using the editor tools much easier. But you may want to know, well, now that we have fixed or optimized the script sources, how can we get them back to the original mod? What we have to do to make them work? We do the reverse. We exported the script to a text file. We now do the contrary. It's very simple. We go to mesh, then right click the same file, and this time we choose import scripts, and we load our edited script. We must remember to save the script if we not done it, but we already did it because my save is grayed here. But anyway, once we saved our edited script, we just reload it, and as you can see, scripts changed. Mesh will load the changes and put them in the proper script source in the mod. Are we done here? No. We must compile the scripts. And the first thing I suggest is, so basically we have changed the script source in the mod, but we still need to compile them. We need to do that if you want the script to work with the standard Morrowind engine, because Open Morrowind can work with just the source of the scripts, but because it compiles them on the fly, but the standard game needs to compile the script. And we can compile them from MWEdit, or we can compile them from the construction set. What I suggest is to try compiling them from MWEdit first, so we can check for other errors or if we introduce new errors. And if things works well with no warnings from MWEdit, then we can compile them from the construction set, which should be the last step anyway, because that is the standard. So we reload the mod that now should have different script sources. With our changes. So we choose script, view, change it only, and open one just to see. One of them we changed, the last one, for instance. Oh, not this one. Oh well, let's try and compile all of them. Edit, compile, active scripts. So no warning, no errors. Let's see the name of that script. Ah yeah, it was the get standing actor, so RM trap flow. Yeah, it's this one. So basically we change this line, fixing the problem with the bracket, and then we remove this check because it is not needed, because get standing actor is a standard function that will return 0 if false or 1 if true, and 0 is evaluated by the if condition here as false by default, and 1 is evaluated by default to true. So no need to check again for them to be 0 or 1. It's something done automatically by the scripting engine. And this is the way you can shorten it and make it a little faster. And so we tried compiling everything, and we have no warnings, and we are ready to open the mod with the construction set and compile the script from there. How can we do this? In a similar way. We set it as active file. And we have the usual warnings. These are problems with the Tribunal and the Blood Moon expansion. Not really real problem with the mod. Okay, to compile all the script, you can use the menus and look for the option gameplay, edit scripts for instance, or you can just open the scripts from the pencil button here. But the gist of it is there's this recompile all button, or there's an option here. Choosing this one, it will try to recompile all the loaded scripts, including the ones from the standard Bethesda masters. Don't worry, because if you have loaded at least bloodmoon.esm or tribunal.esm, you will not generate any game settings problems or cause problems trying to recompile this some of the broken scripts that are in the original game and so on. There are some problems that you may have if you recompile all without having all the standard masters loaded. But if you have the standard masters loaded, you can recompile all with no problems. So, and this is the faster way you can do it. As alternative, you can just open one script at a time and save and compile them. That's the other way. If the scripts are not many, you can do also that. You can see the scripts start with PS, so they are easy to find. Where are they? PS. Did I read correctly? Oh, PA, sorry. I must use a bigger font. PA ProfArmitage. And here they are. So as you can see, they are marked by a star at the end, and so they are easy to find. So another way could be open the script, save, that means compile, and so on. The next one, always check the name of the script here if it is one of the right ones, but you save it and this means you are compiling there, and so on. This is another way you can do it. It is lower, but if you want to be sure to not touch other scripts, that's the way you can do it. I prefer to use compile all because I delve with hundreds and hundreds of scripts, and so. Okay, this is no more one of those scripts, so we stop here. So basically we have our changed mod now because we compiled the scripts and we are sure that they will run as expected, and we save the mod. So we changed this thing. It was not really needed because it was a very small glitch. We found and fixed it very fast, but we were there, and we also made the mod a little more efficient, just to show you how you can change all the scripts at a time and then reload them using mesh tools and compile all very fast. So if you happen to have a mod with much more problems than this one, this is oftentimes an important thing to do because scripts are important, and if they are not well done can cause big problems while adding a mod. Anyway, now we save the mod, we clean it using the same tools we have used originally. So we now edit the mod. Every time you edit a mod, save it. Before releasing it, you should clean it. We already know how to do it. First with test tool, so we choose clean, execute, open the mod, and check the results here. As we have already just saved it from the construction set, there will be some things we can clean because the construction set by default is saving things that are not strictly necessary, like 8 fields here. We can check the log if we want. We open test tool .log. As you can see, these cells are added by default even if you don't change them. Oh no, sorry, maybe that these are cells changed by the mod, but this kind of information is not really needed. So test tool is deleting it because the construction set is saving it and could be deleted. Anyway, this is one thing. We trust test tool about this, and we do the same with task-free command. So right click. In this case I choose file and this option task-free command clean. If you are using the Polemos version of Mesh, it will be another menu position, but the concept is the same. Task-free command clean on the file. And so we cleaned another cell things like the water level, which is by default not needed because it is saved also in another position, and so on. But really not important things, not something that could cause problems. But as we have automatic tools that can clean these things in a constant and repeatable and automatic way, why don't use them? And the original modder, the author of the mod, already used the same tools to make the mod perfectly clean from the start. So we keep on doing that. So at this point we have done basically all we can check about the, well, not all, but the most important thing we can check about the ESP mod. If we want, we can check also how we reload the mod. We can check also for an interesting thing that not many people probably know. We can also check for seams, for instance, if the mod is editing some land. And there's an option in the construction set, world testing, test all land, and as you can see, no cells with bad land. Especially with landmass mods, oftentimes there are seams done directly by the mod, and this is one thing that should be fixed before releasing. And we could also check dialogue or like this. There's a button in the dialogue window, error check results. What this is doing is checking for possible problems in the result field of the dialogue. There are some exceptions, but this is always a good test to do, in my opinion. With one caveat, you must pay attention to one thing. Don't save the mod after you have done this quest, because this test is messing also with the global variables used by the mod. So, you know, Morrowind is a little buggy mess, and the editor is too a little buggy mess. So this thing is precious when there are a lot of mods using the result scripting, but you must pay attention to not save the mod after checking for problems here, because it will dirty your global variables. What you should do is run the test, and if you find some errors different from the standard scripts error due to the bugs in Tribunal, like this one, which are always the same, so once you use this check a couple of times, you realize that these couple errors are standard errors coming from the Bethesda masters. If there are no more errors than these two kind of errors, the mod has no problem in the result field here, and this is another good thing. But oftentimes, the more complex the mod, the more probabilities there are that you have some scripting command here or that's not correct, because there is no syntax check here, so it's easier to make a mistake in the result code you put in that field, and this button sometimes can help finding the problems. So this is the reason why it's a good thing to use it, but always pay attention, don't save the mod after. Oh, okay, so I did something stupid here. I did not reload the mod. So I was just checking against the standard Bethesda masters. So I will do it properly now. But you get the idea. Make the check, be sure to load the mod to check. So check the header of the construction set, so we are sure that, okay, now we're sure it is loaded and we can do the check. Sorry, I do some silly things every now and more often than not. So we do error check results. So we have the first error message coming from Tribunal. We will have the second one coming from Tribunal. Maybe some from Blood Moon, maybe not. Okay. But the mod that we are sure we are loading now is not having this kind of error. So we are happy about it. Don't save, go out, and we are sure that our mod is as clean as another us. So we have it in our folder, and we can, at this point, we could even add it to our loading list if we want to check it. So what to do now? We can check for the info field that I was talking about it. One of the precious things about the standard Morrowind mod header is that you can put the mod author here, and you can put some text here that is easily readable from your mod manager, like Mesh or like other mod managers. So what can you put here? You can put a short description of the mod, but in my opinion it is very important to also put there some useful information to tell the player how to start the quest, because you always have to think about the player having hundreds and hundreds of mods loaded, and it often happens that player install one mod, but then it begins playing the mod after a week, after a month, and so player cannot remember how to start the mod. So player has to look for the readme, but what if player can just click the mod and have the information about how to start the quest right here? So much simpler and much better player experience. So this is one thing that I do usually if I have the readme, or if we can find that kind of information directly in the mod release page. It's better to just copy that information there. To start the quest, find one of the job notices in any of Relax taverns. Let's see. So we go to Mesh, click here, or in the equivalent text field in Polemus version, but the concept is the same. We paste it, Ctrl V for instance, key, and we have this very useful information that we can edit. And as we are here, another thing that I always add is where we can find more information and where we can download the mod. So we can copy the address, the uniform resource locator for the URL for the mod, which usually is a big site like Nexus, but it could be the mod site or another site. So select it, copy, and we paste it right here. So I have two important information right there: how to start the quest, where to find the mod and mod information, and then we save. and that's it. If you get the habit of doing this for any mod, you can do it directly, put this information right in the mod itself. So regardless of the mod manager you're using, you will have that information there for the future. And then, as we are here, we can link the Readme if we install it, but we did not install it yet. So let's finish this installation. We spent a lot of time in the mod ESP because that's an important part. And now we can install, for instance, the Readme. We copy the folder. So we go to data files here and we copy this folder where we put our Readme. We merge, and now we have rescue mission readme.txt that we can link from mesh to the mod Readme set doc. By default, mesh will look in the docs folder. We look for the more recent one, and here it is. We can usually have a preview, and that's it. Now we have the mod Readme ready to read when we select it with mesh. Very useful. And as we are here, we can also add information to the Readme. We can edit it from mesh. We must go to edit doc usually. So next time I'm looking for the mod, I can find information about the site and the download link here and also here. Okay, let's check the resources. So checked, docs checked. The mod is using very few resources, but it's correct things to try and check them also. Imagine you have hundreds and hundreds of meshes and icons, so we need a tool to do it automatically, if possible, and fast with a lot of meshes. This tool is called well, let me look for NIF something. NIF strip. It's a tool by how it's called, I don't remember the author, but NIF texture stripper and remover or optimizer. NIF texture stripper, probably. Yeah, it's the original name of the tool. You can find a link in my site, or probably you can find it looking for tools from my search for search tool for how is it called, Morrowind modding history. But probably the easier things is to go to my site and look for NIF texture. NIF texture. Okay. NIF text strip. Okay, this one. And you can download it from here. Author is Eva Scarecrow. I am hosting it here in my site because the original download to my knowledge, is no more available. This is the latest version, and it's a very useful tool. It can optimize and fix the paths of textures in your NIF files, in your meshes, very fast automatically. So this is something that I always use on mods that I'm installing. Basically, you can copy it to your mod folder or directly to the meshes folder. So we need this, and you can use some command line parameters to it, but I have made a batch file called niftig-strip-all.bat that basically is using the same parameters automatically from a batch, so I don't have to write them every time. So what this is doing, calling the tool with the local option, which means go inside the folder, the directory that we are currently in, replace the slash with the backslash, which is the standard for folder separator in Windows and the standard used by Morrowind, to strip the texture path prefix from the textures if it is not needed, because basically the textures prefix is not needed if your texture file is just in the base textures folder, because the game automatically is using that. So in that case it is not needed, and this tool can strip it automatically. And then one thing that I always do is replace the extension bitmap and targa with DDS, because by default this extension is working better with other tools like file viewer, and this is the best kind of extension that the game is using, because it is the standard for DirectX and standard used by your graphic card basically, and the game works automatically using one or the other if one of them is not present. So you can just choose one extension for the texture and use that, and I choose to use the DDS one. So this is something that I like to do, not really needed. The important things in my opinion is to run the tool with the local, because this will fix some path errors like modder editing the mesh using NIF scope or Blender and so on, and then forgetting to fix the path, to remove the drive path from the textures in the file, and so it is not working anymore if you have Morrowind installed in a different drive and so on. This tool can fix these things automatically. But I like also to, as we run it, I like also to do this more fixes, like using backslash, removing texture path when it is not needed to make smaller files and so on. Okay, this is what I use, the parameters I use with the program. So I suggest you use them, but no need. But running the tool is a good thing. So we do it. We copy also this patch here and run it, double click it. It is super fast. Obviously we just have one mesh here, but the out.txt is what I use here in this command to output the program results and the log basically of the program, and it just checked this file and didn't find anything to change, so that's a good thing. But it can scan thousands of meshes very fast, so this is a very nice tool. Now that we use it, we can delete these files. And another tool that we can use with graphic resources like icons, like textures and so on is this one called Texture Check and Compress, also known as Ordenador. And you can find it on the Nexus. It is in Skyrim tool download links. As usual, you can find a link to it in my site. Here it is. And this is, in my opinion, so far the best tools for compressing textures available for Morrowind. There are others, but all in all, this is the simpler one and one of the best working. So I suggest you run it. And when you run it, the first thing you should choose is the folder you are processing, which is rescue mission here. And inside we look for some folders which could have some graphic files. In this case, we just have icons, so we choose that one. And then we choose maximum in the profiles Morrowind and set the options accordingly to the kind of files we are going to process. So there are basically two kinds of files. There are images that never move in the game, that are part of the interface, like icons, like book pictures, things that never move around. And these things don't need so-called MIP maps, which are smaller version of the image, because the point of view is always the same. They never move in the game, so they don't need different sides of the same image to optimize things. So in this case we have icons, and so we don't need to make MIP maps. So we choose remove here and then start. We don't need backup, we trust the program. And basically what the program did is displayed in the log. There was an icon in Targa format, and the tool compressed it to a DXT5 DDS format. So from 70 kilobytes, now the icon is just 1 kilobyte with that decent quality. Not much, but if you have a lot of them, could be something you may want to do. Not a big change, but if you think about doing the same thing with maybe big textures, you can really spare a lot of graphic memory. And so it depends on the folder you are processing. So if you have icons folder, if you have books folder. You don't need the maps. You choose remove here. If you are using the standard textures folder, you should choose make, if not MIP maps. We don't have textures folders in this mod, so we don't need it. Okay, so and this is the final change. So now we can also install these two folders to the data files. And we are ready to play the mod. Now we may want to put it somewhere, in some position. For instance, this is a quest mod, so I could try and position it as a new quest mod near other quest mods in the loading order, or I could give it a tag to test or something like that. It depends, but I think I will just enjoy this mod. I think I will keep it, so probably I want to put it in my quests near the rest of the quest mods. So I will sort by group and look for quest mods like this, for instance. Or I could just look for another mod by the same author, because maybe I will think that I could just want to merge the mod. So let's see, do I have any more mod by ProfArmitage? Yeah, I have one here. Oh, it's the same. No, I don't have. Or I have already merged. I have one, but it's already merged. I could look for that. Let's see. Oh, here it is. This mega merge mod, which I made before having more than 256 plugins available. Now we can use 1000, so the problem is no more, but at the time I had to merge some mods to be able to use them, and this is the other mod by ProfArmitage. It is merged with these mods. So tell you what, I will just load this new one after this one. So how can I do that? This thing, I want to load the mod right after this one. Simpler way is to just copy the timestamp here and change it a little like this, and then we go to the mod and I paste the same timestamp and then add a couple seconds like this, and the mod will be loaded right after that one. As you can see here. So this is just a way you can do it. And then we are ready. So okay, let's try and see what happens when I run mlocks. I'm still tweaking my mlock settings because some things I don't want to update. I want to use my settings, and a lot of things change in the latest version. So, but basically I don't think there are already rules for this mod, so it should not change it. from the current loading order. Like, as you can see, no need to change the loading order. Okay, and as we are here, I think I will just add a new mod, which is a very new tool that we are testing in the Morrowind modding Discord, and it's a very promising tool, in theory able to fix the possible problems you can have in game automatically. And so I will also add that mod. I will show you how it works. It's basically a very fast tool, similar to merge objects, to test-free merge, sorry, and it's called let me check it. Merged lands. So it's generating a merged lands .esp, and this should be loaded after your merged objects. Like this. And I'm testing it, trying to fix the glitches, but it is very promising. So I'm adding it and we'll check it in game. I'm using the debug version so I can see different colors where in theory there should be fixed seams and so on. But maybe go to the Morrowind Discord, look for the thread about the tool, merge the lens generator by DVD, and help debugging it, try it, test it, help the author developing the tool, because it's something really useful. And so I will try and run that. So we close our modding tools, and next time I think I will just play and see what happens. So thanks for watching. I think all in all we have seen some interesting thing how to check a mod and prepare it for installation. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.